Hello, Sophians. A pleasant day to everyone. In today's lesson, we will discuss about sexual reproduction in plants. Our objectives for today: I can identify the parts and function of a flower. I can describe the reproductive parts in plants and their functions. I can describe sexual reproduction in plants. Our core values for today's lesson is all about wholeheartedness and wisdom. Wholeheartedness, you will become active readers and thinkers while the discussion is ongoing. And service, the learner, you will become a good stewards of God's creation. God created all animals. Humans are animals, but we have special gifts like thinking and reasoning. Because of this, God entrusted animals to our care. Reproduction enables different life forms on Earth to continue existing. Like humans and animals, plants also reproduce to form new plants. Plants may also reproduce either sexually or asexually. In sexual, pollen that came from male reproductive organ plus ovule that came from female reproductive organ to form a seeds. And asexual, it doesn't require any reproductive cells and without the seeds. Many plants reproduce sexually. In sexual reproduction, an egg cell and sperm cell join in fertilization. For fertilization to occur in plants, pollination must take place first. Flowers are important. Aside from beautifying homes, flowers also serve as the reproductive organs of plants. 90% from the plant kingdom are angiosperm or flowering plants that have seeds that are enclosed in an ovary. A complete flower has male and female parts. Now let's talk about the parts of the flower. First is the pedicel or stalk. It connects the flower to the branch or stem. Next, the receptacle, as you can see in the picture. Receptacle is the enlarged upper end. It supports the entire flower. The sepals, on the other hand, are typically green. It protects the flower when it's still a bud. A group of sepals is called calyx. And petals are usually bright colored, making the flowers attractive to pollinator like insects. A group of petals is called corolla. Nectarines give the characteristic scent to a flower. Now let's go to the male reproductive structure, the stamen. The stamen has two parts, the anther and the filament. The anther is the expanded and lobular structure at the tip of the filament. This is the pollen-producing part, and the pollen grains contain the male gametes or the sex cells. The filament is the stalk that holds the anther. So that's the two parts of the stamen, the anther and the filament. Now we go to the female reproductive structure, the pistil. The pistil consists of the following parts: the stigma, style, and ovary. The stigma is thicker surface at the pistil top where the pollen germinates, while the style, it holds up the stigma, and the ovary, which produces and contains the ovules. An ovule becomes a seed after it is fertilized by a pollen. Pollination and fertilization in flowering plants. Reproduction in flowering plants begin with pollination. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of flower. The male and female plants cell mature and develop, unite to form a zygote, which eventually develops into a new plant. The union of male and female plant sex cells is called fertilization. For further understanding, let's watch the short video.
Reaches the stigma of a suitable flower, a tube grows from the pollen grain. This tube travels through the style and reaches the ovary. The male gamete from the pollen travels in this tube and reaches to the female gamete present in the ovule of the ovary. After that, the male and the female gamete fuse together to form the zygote. This process of fusion of male and female gametes is called fertilization. The zygote formed after the fertilization then divides several times to form an embryo inside the ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and changes to a seed. The ovary, on the other hand, ripens and forms a fruit around the seed. At this time, the other parts of the flower, like the sepals and petals, fall off. So, a seed present inside a fruit contains an embryo, which is actually a baby.
Okay, so that is the pollination and fertilization of plant. Now we have kind of pollination, self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination takes place when the pollen grains from stamen of a flower are transferred to the pistil of the same flower. As you can see in the picture, self-pollination occurs in the same flowers. Cross-pollination, on the other hand, is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of the same kind. Cross-pollination can occur only between plants of the same species or same type. A pollen from another kind of plant will not work. How pollens are transferred? It requires agent to transfer the pollen from flower to flower. Agents of pollination are bees, butterfly, dragonflies, and other insects that may carry pollen to the stigma of the flower. When bees, butterfly, dragonflies, or other insects land on flowers to gather nectar, pollen grains get stuck on their legs. The pollen grains are transferred as they flutter from flower to flower. Other animals that aid in pollination include birds, bats, and other fruit-eating animals that may come in contact with flowers. The pollen grains stick to the fur or feathers of these animals. When they move, the pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of the flower. The pollen grains of aquatic plants may drift on water and reach other flowers and start pollination. Although less common, pollination in water occurs especially in some pond reeds. Wind pollination occurs when pollens from flowers are transported by the wind. Crops such as rye, oats, and barley are pollinated by wind. Grasses, some trees, species, and shrubs are wind pollinated too. Wind blows and the pollen might fall on the stigma of the pistil. In humans are agent of pollination too. Many humans manually transfer pollen from stamen of one plant to the pistil of another plant through a cotton swab or a small brush, and also by touching different flowers that will help the pollen to transfer to another flower. Life cycle of a plant. Plants start as seeds. When seed starts to grow, we call that germination. Seedling, new small plant grows out of the ground from seed. Mature plant, the stem and its leaves grow towards sunlight and make food for the plants. Mature plant starts bearing fruit, flower. Okay? Fruit after a flower is fertilized, most plants make seeds in the form of a fruit. The seed inside the fruit can be planted and grow into a new plant, and the cycle starts over again. Okay, as you can see, this is the life cycle of a plant. Seed, young plant, mature plant, it will form a flower, then fertilization and pollination will occur, then form a fruit, then seed, and the life cycle of a plant continue over again. Let's have a trivia. Did you know that the world's smallest flower is called Titan Arum? It's said to emit a stink like a dead body. And did you know that the biggest flower in the world is called Rafflesia arnoldi, the flower with the world's largest bloom? This rare flower is found in the rainforest of Indonesia. It can grow across 3 feet and weigh up to 15 pounds. It is a parasitic plant with no visible leaves, roots, or stem. Did you know that the world's fastest growing plants? The world record for the fastest growing plant belongs to a certain species of the 45 genera of bamboo, which have been found to grow up to 91 centimeters or 35 inches. And did you know that the Earth's most poisonous plant? This is what earns the castor oil plant its reputation as the world's most poisonous. After the laxative oil has been extracted, the remaining residues of its malted brown seed contain a potent cocktail cycle of toxins. Again, our core values are about wholeheartedness and service for today. So that will be the end of our lesson in sexual reproduction in plants. I hope you enjoy and learned something today. So again, this is Teacher Lorraine Palomo. See you in our next lesson. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.